Do you remember, chat, a few streams ago, we watched a propaganda video about Trump. It was really bad. And it was really over the top. We liked it. We thought it was funny. Now they've made one about Biden.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Okay, I'm curious. I'm so curious.
We made a lot of progress because of all of you. But there's
rare Biden energy moment where he had energy.
Yeah, they gave him a lot of stimulants.
Indeed. Still slurring his words, though.
more to do.
Over and over, they count him out. And over, Joe Biden delivers.
And over, he's rigged back in again. Remember when he didn't campaign in 2020? Remember when more than half of people voting for him admitted they were not voting for him, but voting against Trump? More than half admitted it. Probably at 75% were in practice. This is going to be hilarious. Joe Biden delivers for China, for Hunter. Yeah. Joe Biden delivers what? He delivers the to Hunter? Really? Doesn't have someone else doing it?
He's been doing it for 50 years.
Yes. If by it...
That's not a selling point.
Yeah, exactly. If by it you mean horrendous corruption. If this video
guy's
show...
been in power for 50 years and still ain't done shit.
You know how great government's been for the last 50 years, chat. You love this guy. He's been right there. He's the face of it. It's like Hillary Clinton, who's in like 3 of these pictures. Actually, do you know what? She's not. I thought she was, but she's not in any of them. Maybe she's hot right now. Maybe they don't want her. Bring us the footage of Biden at the Clarence Thomas confirmation hearing. 11 Films, who made this. Go on, show that footage. That's the kind of thing he was doing. Not quite 50 years ago? Is she in the bottom right one? Is that Hillary? I wasn't sure if it was. It might be, yeah. Actually, I think it is, yeah. I think I remember that picture. That's Biden before the dementia.
Yeah.
But people have always said he was still weird even back then.
He's been around.
Yes, he
has the experience. He's doing the work.
America's most experienced president, by which you mean America's most ancient president. Yeah, exactly. It looks like he's struggling to keep his arm up in this one. He does kind of have demon eyes, yeah.
Well, yeah, and demon eyes.
Straight-backed and proud like his generation was taught.
To be fair, Trump isn't straight-backed. He has a really weird posture. But it tells you what you need to know. Well, I suppose so, yeah. I mean, Biden's a lot less well off. If Trump's only problem is his posture, which these people don't think it is, obviously.
Brag.
I'm really rich.
Don't make excuses. Don't be a smartass.
I mean, it's working for Trump. I don't know, guys. He's pretty fucking popular.
I was gonna say, I want the politicians like this. I'm so sick of these like careful,
exactly
scripted pieces of.
I want them talking off the cuff. I want them talking in a way that means they can't hide who they really are. That's why Trump is so well trusted.
Who's that unironic colored fellow that was like
Vivek?
Doing well?
Yeah,
Vivek. He's very fun to watch. His that one we watched where he was that reporter was very funny.
Yeah, Vivek's pretty good. We are still a little sus of Vivek, but I like him generally, so I go and watch.
Something I've noticed about this is, do you know how many times they had to bring up Biden in the anti-Trump ad? They didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even 30 seconds into, not even 30 seconds into Biden, we love all these things Biden has done. Not even 30 seconds into this video, they're going, at least he's not orange, man.
Mm-hmm. Remember those mean tweets? You don't want mean tweets. You know, World War III, fine, but no mean tweets.
I want the mean tweets. I miss it.
For the good of the country. Don't be a smartass. Just make the tough decisions for the good of the country.
Biden's not no one believes he's actually making the decisions. No one does.
What wishful thinking. Yeah, what wishful thinking that is.
Which wife is this? Is that the one that you deleted from your life? I can't remember the story, but it was really fucking dodgy stuff, like straight up psychopath stuff he did to his first wife. Was this the second one? How many of these kids are from her and how many are from the first wife? Which one of these is Beau Biden? And which one of these is Hunter Biden, your kid bagman's son, who you've been using to sell your power for 50 years. Disgraceful family, frankly. I'm not blaming I don't know about the wife. Current wife, probably not. But the previous wife, I don't know.
Way worse. Yeah. Way worse, bro.
But this guy here, top right, this Biden guy, probably, like, psychopath, probably always has been. Really fucked up family. I don't know what happened to Beau, but I don't suspect it's as innocent as they'd like us to believe. I'm not saying he did anything wrong. By most accounts, he was all right. Don't know what happened, though. Seems sus.
And Joe knows loss. The kind of loss that burned...
Oh, it actually did reference it. What was it, chat? What was it he did with his first wife? Who has been Stalinistically erased from this photo. With one of the children, I guess that was Beau. What happened to the wife, chat? Was it that she got cancer and he left? Something like that, wasn't it? It was something really, really fucked up. He had her run off the road. I don't remember the full details of that. Photoshop job on the chair, though. Could be worse. It could be worse.
Kind of loss that burned a commitment in his soul to do whatever it takes to protect the lives of all Americans.
I've been in this fight for a long time.
Except the Americans who you let die in Afghanistan, right? In that withdrawal. And quite a few others, too.
No, leaving weapons behind is a good idea.
Well, I mean, now the Chinese have them. It's great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Long time, but I'll never give up.
Donald Trump never delivered for America. He only spewed a...
See, they put like a Russian version of America
Putin.
there.
Yeah.
Trump and Putin.
Trump and Putin.
They
Look
always
how
bring up
like
Putin because Xi owns these people, but Putin is also kind of bad, so he's the best boogeyman they can come up with. But Trump gets on with
Trump
Putin.
Back.
But yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Trump gets on with Putin, which, you know, you don't want to be friends exactly with a dictator. That's not what you're doing, but he is running a state. He's been doing it for a long time. The state has not collapsed yet. He must be doing something right, so you have to deal with him. And in that case, it's power politics. It's on a national level. It's a different game. In that case, you might as well form a rapport with them and not continuously antagonize them like the Democrats
We want World War III. We want World War III. And we can't have Trump because we don't want him actually getting along with the opposition and like trying to build a dialogue. We want death. We want destruction. We want all the white people to go fight and kill themselves off for no good reason in a different country. You know?
It is amazing how what perception they have of Trump. He's a baby at the podium. He's a bully. He has no idea what he's doing. He's just an idiot, just a provocateur. You can't argue with the results. He was, as a diplomatic figure, he was more successful than probably your last 5 presidents combined. Frankly, because he was trying to be successful. Destroyed ISIS. He I think at one point set the US back into a surfeit, which was immediately destroyed by Joe on first day. Trump got the US not only energy independent, but in his words, energy dominant. And I think that's correct that they did that. And he was about to make it even more so with the pipeline. Solve the southern border, at least what solved pretty much while he was in office. The policies were much better. And he built a wall, which would make it a lot easier to defend the border. You cannot argue with the results. And their perception of what kind of person he is just wouldn't make sense along with those results. And let me not even bring up Jan 6th, which they're mentioning here. They go on about it so much because it was designed to do that for them. You look into the data, you actually look into the data of what happened on Jan 6th, not just from the mainstream press, find a source that disagrees with them. It was not what they say it was. Everything that could have been done to prevent it by the people who supposedly care was not done. Everything that could have been done to make it worse by those who supposedly care was done. The protesters themselves were not violent until aggressed upon, except those who have been found later to almost certainly be infiltrators. There's good evidence that there were plenty of them. There's plenty more detail behind that. Most of you in chat know, but in case there's anyone that's strayed onto this video, I implore you, go and look it up. There's a documentary the Epoch Times have, which is pretty good, looked into this. You don't have to agree with it. Just give it a watch, give it a chance. You've been lied to.
Chorus of deep division and crafted a cesspool of corruption to benefit only himself.
Really? Where? How?
Bruh.
This is much like the Trump video. Almost everything they're going to say in this is either something that they have done, they're currently doing, or they intend to do in the near future themselves.
What was the Trump video like, praising him or not?
No. It's the same channel. It was anti-Trump.
Okay, so anti-Trump, pro-Biden, of course, got you.
Yes. Comment section is actually enabled on this one, Calitrius. But most of the comments are against them, which I do like. It's majority dislikes. The Trump one was like 80% dislikes. So these are mad videos, and they're only really getting the attention of people who are mocking them, it looks like. Projection is true, yes. I try not to use the word projection directly because it's so overused, but yeah, that is what's happening, actually.
I want to find 11,780 votes.
What was this was just a bunch of people. This was the mugshots of people who were brought in for nonsense charges. I don't think this case actually went ahead. Look, political enemies of the state are not your best option to show that no, we're not corrupt, guys, they are. When the state pursues its political enemies over bogus charges, it's not a good argument that they're the corrupt ones, is it? They all look good in their mugshots, especially Giuliani and Trump. I like the girl who's just smiling here as well. Actually, not all of them. Some of these look bad, but Giuliani and Trump look really good. Right, Shogun, yeah. This case fell apart because of loads of problems. This quote here, 11,780 votes. I'm not sure what they mean by that, but if that's a reference to the election being rigged in 2020, it was rigged. There's overwhelming evidence of it. And again, similarly to January 6th, but even more this time, if you have somehow strayed onto this video, perhaps you're watching it on the beautiful Mulberry Wizard posting channel, and you don't know about it, I implore you, find a source that disagrees with what you've heard from the mainstream press. Not just a source that has a different color in the headline that claims to be right-wing rather than left-wing. Don't fucking buy it. They can both be establishment sources. Find someone that actually disagrees. Go to hereistheevidence.com chat. You can certainly find it from that anyway. It documents all the evidence of election fraud. It was systematic, an industrial scale, and it was very blatant in many ways. There's video footage of massive fraud being performed at a time it was illegal to be counting votes when they had told the observers to go home, which coincides exactly with a huge spike in Biden votes, which went over the margin of victory for that state. There is no question whatsoever that that state was rigged. For others, there is plenty of evidence as well, but that is the best piece of evidence we have. To say this many times, but it's worth refreshing just in case someone new shows up, especially with the clipping channel, which, by the way, very happy about, but it does impose that I do need to make this stuff very clear to people, I think. I think it's better to do that anyway.
780 votes.
In just under...
Yeah, indictments and federal charges, again, even if they do get convictions, which they haven't, otherwise they would mention it, it still doesn't prove he's actually guilty. A corrupt state would do that. It coincides with a corrupt state, not with a corrupt man, not with a criminal man. Again, look into the indictments, look into the actual details of the case. You know those boxes you saw in the boxes case, the documents case, all those boxes that you saw? No, those weren't the classified documents. They were nothing to do with it. They were just pictures of boxes. They were other documents. There's about 200 pages that they claim are classified that Trump had erroneously. 200 pages, that's about that much. It's like a tenth of one of those boxes at most. And he has presidential leeway to take them, to automatically declassify them. Tell you who didn't. This guy, Biden. It's alleged, I haven't seen evidence of this. Look into it, chat. It is alleged that he had 180,000 boxes of classified data stored somewhere called Chinatown. Something to look into anyway. And like with a lot of these things, you can't find the evidence. With the Trump stuff, if you look deep enough, you can find the evidence, which seems to exonerate him.
3 years, Joe Biden has delivered unlike any president.
All right, so Biden signs landmark gun legislation, so anti-Second Amendment. All right, so that's violating the Constitution. Biden signs the American Rescue Plan. I'm not sure what that is, but every piece of legislation that has a nice name, almost without exception, is hiding something. And which means probably all of them. Biden signs $1 trillion infrastructure bill into law. Well, spending money on infrastructure is a good idea, but I'm not convinced that's what you're doing. Once again, Americans, have you found the infrastructure getting better since Biden was in office? Just curious. The Hill says Bidenomics is a godsend for rural America. Well, the Hill would say that, wouldn't they? Not sure that's true, though. Drogan says it's green. Yeah, I believe that. Quote-unquote infrastructure. It's just a mask for green stuff, which not entirely, but largely is sabotage of America's industrial potential, not just America, but in this case America. Sabotage of America's industrial potential in the interest of China, who are doing null, nil, zip, and zero about climate.
In modern history.
I mean, masterclass in terms of delivering results.
This is Gavin Newsom, widely embarrassed in a debate with Ron DeSantis, who has just come 30 points below Trump in Iowa. Tells you what you want to know about the about the relative levels these people are on. Of course, Newsom would support him. He's the governor of California, the most Democrat state in the U.S.
And folks, we're just getting started.
We'll rig the next one too. Yeah. They've managed to accrue every single example of where Biden was able to string an entire sentence together into this one video. All 6 times. Very impressive.
With the American Rescue Plan, we provided relief and support directly to working class families. We're
They
investing.
say created 40 million jobs. Bear in mind that statistics are very easy to fuck around with. Very easy. You can almost never trust them these days, unfortunately. You always got to look into them. You always got to look into something real, something that really gets to the heart of it. And preferably not anecdotal, but it's hard to avoid. Unemployment is one that, in my experience, is one of the easiest to fuck around with. There's a lot of ways to fuck around with it. And especially with Biden, one of the ways they fucked around with it is just by saying, just by counting jobs recovered after COVID lockdowns ended as jobs created. That's not what they are, Biden. That's not how it works.
I love how in this clip you can hear that they've had to edit together the parts of his speech because he can't string a sentence together coherently enough to make it flow naturally, so you can hear the stop-starting.
Yeah. I can understand that if you're, say, what I'm doing here on a live show. Even then, I don't cut that often, chat. I do this for hours at a time. Biden's the president. He should be better at public speaking than I am. And he's got a fucking teleprompter for every single one, which, by the way, goes back to the whole thing about Trump speaking off the cuff. Trump has said in one of his rallies recently, I don't know if this is true, I suspect it's at least close to true, though, that he uses the teleprompter about like 8% of what he says is from the teleprompter. Man, that is exactly right. That is exactly right. You want someone who's talking off the cuff the whole time and is still remarkably popular and says things that the people believe in and that it's true. That's what you want. Biden, 100% teleprompter. 100%. Maybe like 98 when he makes some stupid quip. Yes, exactly. Trump. You don't want that. You don't want someone who's he's just wheeled out there to read out words. You want a leader.
We're investing in America, in our roads, bridges, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet, and so much more.
Problem is, Biden, much like even DeSantis or Vivek, can't trust you. I don't fucking believe you. Even if all of what you said there was your intention, I wouldn't believe the people around you. I wouldn't believe the people who you're employing to get it done. I don't believe a single word of it. Unfortunately, these days, it is as simple as the Democrats are operating in their own interest and against the American public, and the MAGA Republicans specifically aren't. They're acting as politicians are meant to act. And I hate to say it because it sounds tribal, but that is true. That is how it is. Can't deny it.
Children should have the right to go to school without fear of being gunned down with a weapon of war.
Right, so what you're going to do is ban guns in schools. So you're going to essentially ban school
Yeah, they'll
shootings.
stop it.
Yeah, that's great. You're making school shootings illegal.
No, they're going to ban guns because guns kill people.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's not even get to the fucking self-defense part of this. But if your legislation is make schools a gun-free zone, means that the school shooters can't bring guns in. No, it means that you've told them they can't. Just like you've told them they can't murder, which they're already going to do.
You have to literally militarize your schools, right?
No, hold on, Dan. We're not even there yet. We're not even at that point yet. If your solution to school shootings is to ban guns in schools, you have done literally nothing. It does not make any difference. But as Dai is getting to, it's even worse than that, because you've banned the people who could defend themselves and possibly, just possibly, gun down the school shooter from having guns. And frankly, gunning him down is the less likely thing. The deterrent effect is the real reason you want that. If teachers are just allowed to have guns, then you solve the problem pretty much completely. Because the student could get shot straight away.
It doesn't even have to be teachers. It doesn't even have to be teachers.
I'm not sure I'd advocate for children, but yeah, exactly.
No. You can make, like, there's a lot of places that already have this kind of done where they have a police officer on site, right?
Mm.
One officer is probably not going to be enough to do it. You're going to have to build a whole, because this is a massive issue happening. Build a system where you have like a literal defense of the schools by a third party. They don't interact with the students really or anything, but they're just there to protect the space. Nobody that isn't a teacher or student gets in or out. They protect the people, the teachers, the students, all of them. And they're just there like a police would be, but they're on site.
That's one way you could do it, yeah.
Like if this is such a massive issue and you're not going, again, I doubt you would ever get the gun problem under control in America at this point. Like you know, it's just the way the culture is. You have to make these systems.
That is one way of doing it.
Arm the janitors, yeah. I mean, I suppose, but like again, you don't want someone that can just get a janitor job, so like no problem going in and then being able to have an armed weapon in a school.
Around children, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. There's obviously dangers that could come from this, but arming the teachers, arming the janitors, maybe putting a security force in there is better than nothing. Quite a lot better than nothing, maybe, with obviously some risks. You know, net better than nothing. Banning guns in schools is worse than nothing. It does not do a single bit of anything to solve the problem, because they're already breaking the law by intending to shoot people. So it doesn't fucking matter if you make it illegal to have guns in school. Literally makes no difference whatsoever. But it does prevent people who might deter them from doing that shooting from having guns. Banning guns in school is direct sabotage of the defense against school shooting, of the deterrence against school shooting. Banning guns in schools is a godsend for school shooters. It's exactly what you would do if you wanted to encourage school shooters, which is why they're doing it. Enhanced background checks. I mean, if it was being done completely honestly, I wouldn't be too
put a metal detector up if you have to. Like, if it gets that bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of entrances to schools usually.
This was you secure your borders, you secure your fucking school entrances.
$188 million investment in mental health. Can we just, like, $180 million for a government? $188 million isn't that much. But again, investment in mental health. The problem with quote unquote mental health these days, and maybe this has been the case for ages, I don't know, is that the mental health quote unquote professionals are usually, instead of motivated to solve the problem, they are motivated to just keep the problem simmering, just so the person just keeps coming back. Now, I'm not sure how exactly you solve that.
They're never cured.
Exactly. I'm not sure how exactly you solve that. Exactly. But a rigorous free market where you can choose who you want to go to, a healthy free market, an economy where this stuff is all very free and simple as well, is probably the best way to solve that. I'm not saying that, well, we can get into that later. Exactly how you do healthcare is a variable thing, but any sort of government involvement in that kind of thing, any kind of, and also including the pharmaceuticals corruption, which often does involve government as well, where they want people to be mentally ill so they can sell them different drugs. Like all of this incestuousness with these corporations and such, government being involved to deal with incestuousness and collusion is rarely the right solution. In maybe some rare cases, but the right solution to that is a very healthy and competitive free market. And I don't think that that's anywhere near the opinions of any of these people. And again, 108 million, it's not that much for a government.
On a war.
Also, they're not fucking weapons of war. They're semi-automatic. Granted, some weapons in wars are semi-automatic, but if you're an actual soldier, you're actually going to fight people, you at least have a gun that can do automatic, even if you're not always using it automatic. They're not weapons of war. They're weapons of civilian self-defense. And
You
there
do
are many.
enough damage with a rock, you can make that a weapon of war.
Yeah, it was a weapon of war in the ancient time. Some say that the sling was more effective than the bow. True, Kaiserholt, just like Dai said, you can use a rock as a weapon of war. You go back far enough. Semi-automatic muskets are weapons of war, that's true. But modern weapons of war, the civilian defense guns, the semi-automatic, like AR-15, you could use it in war, I suppose. But it's not what most people would think of as, or not the gun that people would actually take into war primarily. It would be fully automatic. At least potentially. As I said, like, you don't always use fully auto in the field, but you at least have guns that can do it. All weapons are weapons of war, says the field. This argument is on its face. That's also true. It's different ways of looking at it. Yeah. The thing is, like, okay, it depends what you think he means, what you think they mean. Now, take away their dishonesty for a second. The claim weapons of war. What I think they're trying to say is weapons that a modern soldier would take into battle with them. What you're interpreting it as is a weapon that could be used in a war. Different interpretations of the term. You're right for your interpretation, I'm right for my interpretation. I think they're compatible. But just to clarify what I meant. Yeah, as I said, I think, as Primo says, I think the AR-15 was not a military weapon. It's based on a military weapon. Was it possibly the M16? The M4? I never can remember which one it is.
Wall Street didn't build the country. The middle class built the country. And unions built the middle class.
I don't believe that any of the things that you're advocating for would help the middle class. Except the ones on your side. Maybe not even them.
Dude, it's been a while since I've heard somebody advocating for unions.
Yeah. Unions are an okay structure as long as they're voluntary. The moment they become mandatory, the moment they become assumed, they're useless. Worse than useless, actually.
The Inflation Reduction Act, biggest investment in fighting climate change anywhere in the history of the world.
Which is not really a good thing. Like, we're all for reducing pollution. We're all for increasing the efficiency of our systems. We are not for deindustrialization and wasted money on wanky feel-good projects.
Or slaughtering their cows and cattle for no reason.
Yeah, that's also true. I like the tech around solar panels. I like the tech around wave technology. I like the tech around hydroelectric. I very much like the tech around nuclear. But we don't have to sacrifice anything. We don't have to waste money on those things. We don't have to do such enormous subsidies for this stuff. If we are past the point of no return on climate change, then why the fuck are we slowing down? Instead, we need to supercharge our industry to the point that we can reverse the problem, which I'm not convinced we need to do much industry to discover, to be honest. But maybe. What we should be subsidizing, if anything at all, is some way to make use of the greenhouse gases. And it's hard not to just suggest, well, what are trees for? I don't know what the argument against that is.
At this point, I don't believe they have a clue what's going on with the climate. Like, I think they're just saying, they're just like, before it was global cooling, now it's global warming. It's fucking every little thing that they can think of is an issue. Somehow 20 years down the line, the issue is fixed itself. We have to go on to something else. They have no clue what's going on. Every
single prediction about global warming, climate change, whatever else that's gone on in the last 50 years has been bollocks. Now, I will defend the science a bit. I expect that there is some real science behind this, but there's so many layers of just utter and propaganda. It's useful for big corporations. It's useful for those who want to sabotage the West, and so it's heavily pushed. Very much wrapped up in socialism as well.
I do believe there is proper science involved, right? Where it's like, people can... Nowadays, you can predict the weather for the next week, right? I don't think anyone has a clue what will happen in 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line. I think they do these predictions that most of the time are just every single time. None of it comes true. They either fix itself or they, like I said, global cooling a few years ago, global warming now, massive hole in the ozone layer before. Like it's every little thing. Oh, the tides are rising. Like things are melting. Oh, guess what? We had the biggest growth of ice this year, and oh, the rock is not submerged at all. So there's no rising sea.
The seas have not risen.
I just don't believe it. Yeah, it's just all nonsense.
It gets even harder to believe the more we find as well. Like I was not, 10 years ago, I was not predisposed to disbelieve this stuff, in case, again, anyone stumbled into this video. I was not predisposed to disbelieve this stuff. And again, I suspect that there is good science behind it. But it's politicians, it's the press. That's the problem. Scientists, the people that are actually doing the meteorology, I have no doubt that a lot of that is good work. Probably not all of it. But it's the politicians and the press and other groups, NGOs. They are the fucking problem. It is profitable for people to lie about it. So they have. And one thing, Di, is that with global cooling, global warming, and climate change and the name change, it doesn't necessarily indicate deception. It could indicate the changing science, changing understanding. So I will slightly defend that. But it could also be deception.
The moment that they started putting masks on cows and saying that they need to, there's literal pictures of them putting masks on cows, right? These poor fucking cows just trying to live their life, having masks on them, people saying they're going to give them injections so they can't fart, literally poisoning the cattle, and then being like, guys, we have to slaughter 90% of it to reach our carbon emissions units. All of that, when that was brought in, that's when the world went full on fucking insane.
I have an idea for how we can solve the carbon emissions thing worldwide, right? This would be great. Bomb the Three Gorges Dam.
Trees would be helpful as well.
And plant trees, yes, of course. 1/3 of China's industry disappearing would do more than wiping out all the cows on the planet.
I said this many times, you could call every single fucking animal and person in Ireland, right? Because over here they're desperately trying to bring the carbon emissions down or whatever with this. And it would not do a dent in any of these problems because we don't produce the issue. Like, this is just, it's so.
Yeah. The climate goals are goals of sabotage, goals of self-sabotage for a nation. I'm not sure to what extent the leaders are aware that they are involved in sabotage and to what extent they are dupes like most other people. Some balance with differences between different leaders, but that's what they boil down to. Even if there is real science behind them, that's what they are in practice. That's what they have become. The weather and the climate are not quite the same thing, Keith. It's a matter of scale. The climate is the weather over a very long period of time. The weather is a short.
Which is why I was saying I don't believe that they can measure it in the future. Like we're able to measure, like I said, a week worth or 2 weeks worth.
They're probably overestimating
like 10,
their
20
ability.
years down the line.
Yeah,
nah.
Tons of real science. Just no one knows how it fits together yet. Says Deckwell. Could be true. Yeah, and as Shogun says, how does climate shit make inflation go down? He mentioned this right after inflation. I'm not sure if he was trying to relate the two or if it was just like they were next to each other. So I'm not sure. But it doesn't. Probably makes it go up, actually. Depending on how you do it. Deckwell says, your breathable atmosphere is generated mostly by plants. Carbon, blah, blah, is a CO2, and carbon is the primary element plants use to build their cells with, expelling the CO2 that we breathe. Yeah, I think probably Di knows that. Humans breathe in O2 and breathe out CO2. Plants do the other way around. So if you just make more plants, it'll use up the CO2. Now, I heard some arguments against this. I'm not really convinced. It seems like an obvious answer.
We got to take down all of our trees for whatever reason. That's what we're doing at the moment.
Oh, yeah, and we got a quarter of a second. Fighting for democracy. All right, well, let me know how the leading opposition party is doing in Ukraine. Oh, what's that? Sorry? Say again? No, say again. I'm as deaf as Biden. What's that? Oh, there isn't one. Oh, democracy was suspended. Oh, it was the leading opposition party was banned in Ukraine. Was that the press as well was censored? Even freedom of religion was being challenged in Ukraine? That's crazy. It's crazy. So they're not a democracy anymore. They're essentially a puppet dictatorship. Crazy.
President Biden to fight for democracy. We can trust President Biden to lead America for another 4 years and finish the job.
I love how the music in the background sounds like orcs chanting, which I think is appropriate. Like, listen to it.
Years and finish the job because we know Biden.
It's like the people in the pit from that Batman movie, the Batman Bane movie. What were they chanting when Bruce Wayne was trying to climb up out the pit? It's like that chant. Let's listen to it again.
We can trust President Biden to lead America for another 4 years and finish the job.
Not Grond, but no. You can hear it though, chat. Like someone surely knows what I mean. The Batman movie with Bane from like 2013, and he was trying to climb out the pit. It's that chanting. It's fucking cult chant. I don't know why they included that here. It's a really weird choice. You wouldn't doubt they took the chant from a Trump rally. I'd love for them to have taken a chant from the Trump rally where they're saying "We love you" over and over again and just put it over Biden. So fucking blatant. It might have been a 4 years chant from a Trump rally. This could be like studio thing where they got 8 people to do it and then just layered their voices over and over again. We, the people of Gondor, can trust Sauron to govern for 4 more years. Yes, I think not.
Because we know Biden always delivers.
But what does he deliver? But what does he deliver?
Pizzas to the White House.
Yeah. He always delivers Kane Hunter with a bag for the treasonous payments from abroad.
Yeah, and those children that love to touch his leg hair or something.
That was his story that he told the public. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah. That might not be the same thing, Caligius, but let's have a look. Let's see if we recognize it. See if it sounds like the same thing. That Corn Pop was a good guy. Yes, I don't doubt it, to be honest. One half of the room cheering.
Members of Congress, the President of the United States.
I bet Pelosi was happy to have to say that.
Gig.
And now listen to this.
Anywhere.
For democracy. We can trust President Biden to lead America for another 4 years and finish the job.
You couldn't tell if it was exactly the same. It would be very similar. Like 10 different examples of it would sound pretty similar, but goddamn, it sounds pretty similar. It does sound pretty similar. It might not be the same one. Chat, can anyone find a video of someone chanting that for Biden? Like, it may have happened once, but it probably was like arranged. Like, Biden just does not elicit that kind of inspiration. That is the generic chant pace. I don't know if it, no, as I said, correct. You could never tell if it's the exact same one. I mean, well, you could if you did the analysis, but it would be difficult to tell if it was exactly the same. I'm not saying it is, but it might be. It'd be very funny if it was. Yeah, they're probably paid, yeah. You could compare the waveforms. You'd obviously have to remove a lot of other stuff. Audience chant 4 more years in Biden's first speech. Okay, so there's one where it may have happened. Let's have a little look.
This is a real progress, like we haven't ever seen before. Don't take the wing. It begins making over the. We're not making this stuff up. This is real. It's time to. But also. More years.
Chat, give me a number in chat. How many people does that sound like? Exactly. That doesn't sound like very many people to me. That sounds like his staff. It's less than here, and this was a room with limited attendance. This is the King Congress or whatever. It's the people behind him saying it. It looks like. That's why it sounds like so few. Granted, it did just show the crowd, and there were more of them, but I don't think most of them were chanting. People behind him were chanting.
Thank you. Thank you. Folks, we got a lot more work to do, though. I know folks are also struggling with inflation.
Yeah. It happened once. There you go. Still not very many people doing it. About the same number of people as this, and this was in the Senate. Mostly people that hated Trump as well. Wait, is that from the same event? It is from the same event. Oh. Was this the event that they set up specifically for the clips? It's the same event, chat. Ooh, that's interesting. Let's continue.
Because we know Biden always delivers.
I want my Republican colleagues to give me one thing, one, that I can go campaign on and say we did. One!
Hold on, when was this? Chip Roy, Texas, 21st District. Don't know when this is from. This may have been from a while ago. Or he may be a unipartyist who was asked to say this. Not sure. Strange one. Trump kept every single one of his campaign promises, dude. Let's consider that. Again, I'd like to see the context for that clip. So they didn't mention Dark Brandon in this. There you go. That's the guy that AK guy is primarying. Oh, cool. Based. Yeah, so this guy's probably a rhino. Yeah, Democrats would not comprehend the difference between MAGA and rhino. Well, the higher-ups know, but for all the wrong reasons. The Republican Party broadly has been useless for a while, but there's some change happening. And if this guy's saying that, I don't know what the context that was in. Maybe he's not, maybe it was before the MAGA stuff happened, or maybe he was agitating against MAGA when he said this.
Trump, Trump, Trump.
Trump indeed.
4 more years. 4 more years.
Yes. Let's hope so.